Hello everybody, it's Nancy News here, and today we've got a lot of break updates today. So the first news is coming from Kazakhstan, where we've got news that Kazakhstan hosts the Unbreakable Brotherhood 2024 CSTO peacekeeping drills. So Kazakhstan is hosting the CSTO drills, which if you don't know what CSTO is first, it's kind of like a Russian version of the NATO defensive alliance. So CSTO is also a defensive alliance that consists of old Soviet states like Belarus, Russia, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Tajikistan, and Kyrgyzstan. So, very interesting news. So, the drills are underway in Kazakhstan, involving the military units from Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Tajikistan. And if you take note, Armenia did not join this military exercise. So we had news a couple of months ago that Armenia won't be actually attending the CSTO military exercises, so they stood by their word. So Armenia was not present in this military drills. So the exercises feature over 2,000 troops, more than 500 armoured and motor vehicles, and various types of aircraft. So servicemen will practice civilian evacuations and training, and also write scenarios. So very interesting news, and I'll keep you updated on that. Now let's head to Russia, where we've got news that the Russian Emergency Situations Ministry IL-76 cargo plane delivered 33 tons of humanitarian aid to Lebanon. So we talked a little bit about this yesterday, how Russia has just sent 33 tons of humanitarian aid to Lebanon. So it has just arrived in Lebanon. So by the orders of the Russian President Vladimir Putin, and on the behalf of the head of the Russian Emergency Situations Ministry, Russia delivered 33 tons of humanitarian aid to Lebanon. In this 33 tons of humanitarian aid to Lebanon, it consists of food products, basic needs, medicine, and mobile power stations. Now let's head back to Russia, where we've got news that the Russian embassy in Tehran, so Iran, advises Russian citizens not to travel to Iran until the situation normalizes. So Russian citizens have been advised not to travel to Iran. We've also got news that Russia will be invited to the meeting of the OSCE, so the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe. So Russia's been invited to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, which will be held in Malta. So we've got news that Russia is apparently invited to this meeting, which I'll keep you updated when that happens. We've also got news coming from the Arctic Oceans that the Chinese Coast Guard and Russian ships entered the Arctic waters for the first time to patrol together. So the first time ever, Russian and Chinese ships are now patrolling together in the Arctic Ocean here. So we've only got one image of this, and you can see here in your bottom left corner, this is it. So very interesting news. And now let's get into Ukraine, where we've got news that Belgium is to provide Ukraine with at least 3 Caesar self-propelled guns. So you can see here in the bottom left corner, this is the gun what we talked about. This is the Caesar self-propelled gun. So Belgium has announced it will finance and transfer the 3 Caesar self-propelled guns to Ukraine, according to the RTBF, citing the country's Ministry of Defense. The exact delivery dates are not yet determined, but it can probably be pretty soon. We've also got news that Luxembourg has just joined the Ukrainian drone coalition, becoming the 17th partner country in the initiative. According to Ukraine's Ministry of Defense, Ukraine has received thousands of drones from partner countries, and with 50 million euros in accumulated funds, an additional 20,000 to 30,000 drones are expected to be purchased and delivered. So Luxembourg becomes the 17th member of the Ukrainian drone coalition. So we can expect Luxembourg giving some Ukraine drones very soon. And we've also got news from Romania that Romania's promised Patriot system is now in Ukraine. The Patriot system promised by Romania has officially arrived in Ukraine, according to Romanian Defense Ministry spokesman. So the Romanian Ministry of Defense has confirmed that it has transferred a Patriot system to Ukraine. And we've also got news that the new NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has arrived in Ukraine for a visit where he met President Zelensky of Ukraine. So if you can see here in the bottom left corner, the new NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte visits Kiev, and he actually says that Ukraine's membership is closer than ever. So NATO's newly appointed Secretary General Mark Rutte visits Kiev and makes strong statements regarding Ukraine's membership in NATO. He said that Ukraine is getting stronger every day and is more prepared than ever to join the alliance. This process is building a bridge to full membership, Rutte said at a press conference with President Zelensky of Ukraine. He emphasized that Russia has no influence on the issue on Ukraine's membership in NATO. So very interesting reports. We've also got news that Ukraine denies any attacks on the Kursk nuclear power plant and emphasizes that Ukraine follows international law. So Ukraine denies any responsibility of attacking the Kursk nuclear power plant in Russia. And the last news coming today regarding Ukraine is that an impressive 25-year-old FPV drone pilot, if you can see here in the bottom left corner, his name is Timothy Ole. I think that's how you pronounce his name. This man has achieved between January and May 2024. He has apparently achieved significant battlefield success, eliminating 434 enemy personnel, wounding 346, and destroying 42 tanks, 44 BMPs, and 10 MTLBS, and 28 PTR APCs. So this man, who was rewarded this medal, has apparently achieved all of them casualties and destruction to the Russian army. So very significant damage. Now let's head to Slovakia, where we've got news that the Slovakian Prime Minister Fico calls for renewed relations with Russia. So the Prime Minister of Slovakia, Robert Fico, stated that the European Union needs Russia and expressed a desire to restore ties with Moscow. Now let's head to Romania, where we've got news that Romania, following Bulgaria, wants to restrict the import of eggs and poultry meat from Ukraine. So Romania's Minister of Agriculture stated that there is a need for the European Commission to interfere regarding Ukrainian exports of eggs and poultry meat, considering that our farmers are subject to certain poultry farming conditions, which involve much higher costs than farmers outside of the European Union, claims the Romanian minister. So, very interesting news. So we can expect Romania restricting the import of eggs and meats from Ukraine. Now let's head to Poland, where we've got news that the EU countries that still pay social benefits to Ukrainian citizens, including men of military aid, should stop doing so, according to the Polish Foreign Minister. So he said that on air on the Polish radio show of Polski. And probably one of the biggest news, actually the biggest news today, is coming from the United Kingdom. So first, let's just head to the former Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, Boris Johnson. So the former British Prime Minister claims that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu planted a listening device while using the bathroom at the British Foreign Office during a meeting in 2017. So, according to Boris Johnson's security team, apparently they discovered a bugging device in the toilets after Netanyahu's visit. So, very interesting news. So, Boris is now claiming that Benjamin Netanyahu planted a listening device in his toilet. So, I didn't think I'd be waking up to this news, I'll be honest. And now let's get into some more interesting news. So, the Royal Navy has just launched its newest Astute-class nuclear submarine, HMS Armageddon. I think that's how you pronounce it. But if you can see here in the bottom left corner, this is the new British submarine. So, this is the latest British submarine. So, according to the UK sources, the submarine weighs about 7,400 tons and 97 meters long. The submarine is powered by Rolls-Royce nuclear reactors, which allows it to operate without refueling for its entire 25-year surface life. So, according to the Royal Navy, this new submarine is one of the most modern submarines out there, and it is armed with Spearfish torpedoes and Tomahawk cruise missiles, which allows them to hit targets at long ranges. So the Royal Navy unleashes and unveils its new British submarine. And now let's head to the Indian Ocean, where we've just got news that Britain has just ceded its territories, well, its islands in the Indian Ocean, to the African country of Mauritius. So this is the country of Mauritius. It's an African nation. It's an African island nation. So we've just got news that the UK government and the Mauritius government has just signed a deal to put the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands, so the former British islands now, into the territory of Mauritius. So this actually includes the British air base here. So apparently the UK and the US are still allowed to actually access this military base, but now these islands will be in the territory of the African country of Mauritius. So very big news, and I still don't have the full information regarding this, so we'll be talking about this in the next video. And now let's head to the Red Sea, where we've just got news that the Houthis military has just released the footage of their attack targeting the British oil tanker. Yesterday we talked about how an unmanned kamikaze Houthi boat rammed into an oil British tanker. So we can see here in the bottom left corner, we've actually gotten the videos released by the Houthis of this attack. So very big explosion, if you can see here in your bottom left corner. Next news is coming from the capital city of Lebanon, Beirut. So we've got news coming from the Lebanese media that reports that over the past 2 hours, the Israeli Navy and the Israeli Air Force just carried out one of the heaviest bombings on the city so far. So according to the Lebanese media, the Israeli Air Force and the Israeli Navy vessels used dozens of bunker-busting bombs aimed to destroy future Hezbollah Secretary General of Hezbollah. According to reports from local sources, the target of the attack was to try and assassinate the next in line for the Hezbollah Secretary General position, to try and to replace and succeed Nasrallah, the previous Hezbollah Secretary General. So very interesting news, and we still haven't got reports if they managed to succeed in their target. We've also gotten a current map of the fighting in southern Lebanon, where the IDF is conducting operations. So if you can see here in your bottom left corner, the Israeli army units entered Lebanon in 4 places and encountered resistance everywhere. So if you can see in this map, we can see the Israeli Defense Forces and its operations. Now let's go to Qatar, where we've got news that the Iranian president visited Qatar. We talked about this yesterday. So the Emir of Qatar stated that our mediation is a strategic choice and we will continue our efforts to stop the war in Gaza. So Qatar appears to have entered a mediation between Iran and Israel. So both leaders are talking about how to try and stop the escalation in the Middle East. Now we've got news coming from Egypt. According to the UNHCR, Sudanese refugees in Egypt reaches 1.2 million. We've also got news coming from Morocco that the Indian defense company TATA is to establish a defense plant in Morocco, marking India's first overseas defense venture. The facility will produce WHAP amphibious armored vehicles for the Royal Moroccan Armed Forces. These vehicles are already in limited service with the Indian Army, so very interesting. So the Indian defense company TAT is to establish a defense plant into Morocco, marking India's first overseas defense venture. So very big news. We've also got news coming from North Korea that Kim Jong-un stated that North Korea will respond with nuclear weapons if the event of force being used by South Korea and the United States are conducted on North Korea. We've also got news that the DPRK, so North Korea, once again launched balloons with trash into South Korea, according to South Korean authorities. This marks the 24th such action by North Korea since the end of May. So North Korea has been launching huge balloons of just trash into the territory of South Korea. So again, they're just filled with trash. So very interesting news. We've got some news coming from the Taiwanese port here in this city here. So according to the city, a typhoon just hit the major port city of Kaohsiung. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm not very good at pronouncing these Taiwanese names. So if we can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see huge floodings of the city port. So very concerning news. The next news is coming from America, where we've gotten some statistics coming from the Hurricane Helene. So although power is slowly returning, 1 million homes are still left without power due to the Hurricane Helene in the east and southern states. So we can see here in the bottom left corner, we can see just the number of total power outages. So the total power outages are 1,103,000 homes are still left without power. The next news is coming from the Dominican Republic. So the Dominican Republic plans to deport up to 10,000 migrants per week. So deportations will begin immediately with strict protocols to protect human rights. The situation has escalated after a worsening gangs violence situation in Haiti forced many Haitians to cross the border to the Dominican Republic. So critics accused the government of mistreating migrants, fleeing violence and poverty. The Dominican Republic forcibly returned more than 200,000 people to Haiti last year, according to the UN Migration Organization. So deportations in the Dominican Republic will start next week, and they plan to deport up to 10,000 migrants per week. So big news. The last news is coming from Argentina, where we've got news that after Britain gave up the Chagos Islands in the Indian Sea, Argentina has again called on Britain to return the sovereignty over the disputed Falkland Islands. So this statement was made by the head of the Argentine Foreign Ministry. So Argentina is asking for Britain to quote unquote return the Falkland Islands, which I don't think will ever happen. So very interesting news, and that's all the news I actually have for you today. I am Nonce News. I'm trying to provide you news that medias around the world do not show you. I do these videos hopefully daily, so consider subscribing and liking. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all later. Bye.